Have you ever wondered what the origins of the war between werewolves and vampires comes from? If you ever wondered, stick around. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Chaotic Pair channel. It's a channel.
Yeah.
We are back today with an episode about vampires and werewolves and their origins for hating each other so gosh dang much.
Yes.
Why do they hate each other? We'll find out.
Let's find out.
Should we just start?
And we don't got vampires or werewolves. We just have the killers of them. In pop form.
Fair enough. We have vampire and werewolf hunters.
Slayers.
And
hunters, yeah.
Yeah. But
Close enough.
So, we did some research, and by we, I mainly mean me. Chris.
I have to not know so that I could be like you asking the questions.
Right. But also, he'll probably fall asleep.
Yes, that too.
Very much. So, everyone has heard of vampires versus werewolves.
See.
Right?
I hope so. And
Underworld.
if you didn't, you live under a rock.
Probably. Underworld, Twilight, if you go into series, Vampire Diaries, True Blood, all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah, Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf.
Wait, do they have vampires in that?
I don't know.
Actually, I don't think they do.
I don't think they do either.
Huh.
Huh.
They have a bunch of other shit.
Whatever.
Like lizard people.
Point of the stuff. Chimeras.
Ooh, being human.
True.
U.S. version, though, not U.K., whatever the fuck that is.
Chris is very, very particular about that. Point of the line is, everybody has heard about that, right? But then, if the question is asked, where the hell did that start? Nobody really knows.
Ooh, Valhans.
Valhensing.
Fuck.
Gotcha. So, I did some research. It turns out, it depends wherever you're looking. So, werewolves come from Greek. At least that's the first time that werewolves were discovered. It was in Greek mythology.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Now, vampires, everybody knows Vladimir the Impaler, right? Or Count Dracula.
Vladimir Tarkovsky. It's probably not his last name.
That's not the last name.
Wait, what was his name from here? Tepesh. There we go. Vladimir Tepesh.
Also known as the Impaler.
Also known as Dracula.
That was Romania.
Blah, 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 blah.
Right? Romania?
I have no idea. You're the one who did the research.
I believe so. Transylvania.
Yeah, Hotel Transylvania.
Transylvania. I did some research. Now, in those mythologies and myths and lore, there is no sighting of these two creatures ever meeting.
Oh.
So, werewolves lived in Greece mythology, vampires somewhere else, and they never met.
Well, actually, where is Transylvania? Is that in Russia? Actually, could be in Ukraine.
No.
You said Greece. I mean, if
Transylvania is in Romania, I was right.
Okay.
So,
they're not far off, I think.
No, they're not far off by any means. But they never met, at least in the first sightings, right? Now, if you actually dive in a little further in, you start seeing them mix.
Okay, so then, when do they meet?
When they were believed that the werewolves were protecting the humans against the vampires. At least that's the first idea.
Where was it?
Ireland.
Right, they had their stories, and then somebody came up with vampires at this point.
And they made the werewolves
and then they kind of mixed the two.
Yeah, and they made the werewolves into guardians. If you are Irish, let us know. But yeah, there are several cases of lore where werewolves are protectors or guardians. Like also gypsies believed that werewolves were set out to protect the caravans full of gypsies as they moved. Because keep in mind, gypsies were all, like nomads in the sense that they were moving from place to place. Yeah. So a lot of gypsies believe that werewolves are actually set out as guardians to protect their caravans from impending doom as they move from place to place.
But wasn't there like the thing, or at least in movies, I guess, where they just, those are the guys who always get killed by the werewolves as they're crossing?
Here's the thing though, like at least in North America, we have quite a bit of lore with regards to werewolves and vampires and I was gonna say demons, and the idea that werewolves are not so nice, because in our mythology and lore, so knowing this, right, like we have Irish lore, Gypsy lore, we know that werewolves were originally Greek and Romania brought out the vampire with Vladimir Tepish, or the Impaler.
Tepish, what was his last name?
I can't recall, but I believe it could have been.
Romanians, let us know.
Yeah. Point of the thing is, right, at the end of the line, they never met really.
Okay.
There might be lore out there, but it's not significant enough to prove that in the original lore, Greek and Romanian, there was ever a sighting where they met or lived together. Now, people think that it started when, like, literature, people who wrote books and scripts and stuff like that, poems, they realized a couple things. Now, in general, there should only be one apex predator in an ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
But
I guess
if you actually think about it, both vampires and werewolves lurked at night. They were both nocturnal. Vampires because they couldn't come out in the daylight. Werewolves because they were children of the moon. They worshipped the full moon. Both of them became hunters during the nighttime. Vampires because they couldn't hunt during the day, and werewolves because that's when the wolves would come out.
Well, that's when they would transform?
Yeah.
In some cases?
In some cases.
Or in the ones that they didn't, then they could do it during the day.
Not really. See, wolves are like nocturnal.
No, they're not. Nah. I like almost never see a wolf video that's at night. They're always during the day. Hey, they're like dogs. They're awake during the day, sleep at night.
Wolves are nocturnal.
That's horse doo-doo.
Wolves are nocturnal and will hunt for food at night and sleep during the day. If you see a wolf during the daytime, it's most likely moving or has not been able to find food.
Wow.
So considering that wolves are nocturnal, werewolves would therefore be nocturnal as well. So you cannot have two apex predators hunting for the same type of food in the same grounds. So people believe that's where all the literature began. Because if you have two apex predators, then there's got to be a war between the two.
Right.
Because if you have two apex predators, at least biology dictates, two apex predators and prey would actually end up in all three species dying. Because they would be hunting the entirety of the food and then they would die off of hunger.
Oh.
So you cannot have that.
I thought they would just kill each other.
See, no, because they would eat the food, but the food would run out and they would then either kill each other or die of hunger.
So probably kill each other.
Probably both. That could not exist. So the only way to preserve the ecosystem, at least in literature or if this was reality, was to make them mortal enemies. And so the story began. So movies started to pick it up with werewolf versus vampire. First, it was just a one-time fight. Like you had a werewolf and a vampire. They would just have an epic fight because let's be realistic. Vampires and werewolves are just epic in general on their own. So they would just have it like Godzilla versus Kong. Same crap. You have two crazy monsters. You're going to pin them together, epic battle.
Yeah, but they're not really from the same...
This is kind of the same thing. They were not from the same place. But they slowly migrated.
Why them, though? Like, why didn't they do, for example, Wendigos?
Mainly because, if you think about it, they're kind of mirrors, right? Like, you have vampires, right? Which are hurt, like mortal enemies of the sun. And most people believe that werewolves were mortal enemies of the moon. Like, they hated the moon because the moon turned them into monsters, at least in the original lore, right? Now, some movies are like, no, that's not true. They worship the moon because, like, they gives them the wolf. But, like, at least in the original, it was considered a curse, not a blessing.
Yeah.
So, they both hated the opposite.
Yeah.
Right? One was cold and noble and frivolous, right? The other one was warm, So opposites, right? So maybe they were like, oh, opposite. Oh, they're gonna hate each other.
Oh yeah, one's like immortal, the other one's not.
Mortal.
Yeah, mortal.
So vampires and werewolves came from an original myth. There was an original something.
Yeah.
Right? So if you actually think of that, then based on that original, they never met. They couldn't. They were two separate things.
Yeah, there were two apex predators in two different countries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if
So
you're
then,
thinking...
So then I guess somebody, like, heard both of them.
And
saw
moved them
their,
together.
saw their, like, mirrors, images of each other.
And said, this makes sense.
And it's like, yeah, they could be enemies.
Which it does, by the way. It makes sense in some level. But maybe not. Maybe they never were.
I mean, like, I'm guessing, like, what he saw was, like, if they were to meet, they would be enemies because they share the same food.
Now, I'm about to blow your mind with
like,
that.
the same thing with, like, any predator, really. Like, once you meet, like, a raptor and a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to kill each other. Whoever is stronger, which usually is a T-Rex, unless, the little guys gang up on them.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to blow your mind on this last piece of information. Now, like we said, there is no proven lore that these two creatures would ever meet. And even if the pieces of information that do put them together don't necessarily put them on as mortal enemies. The whole mortal enemy thing started in literature because it made sense, basically.
Yeah.
But what if I tell you there is not a conspiracy theory, but there is lore that believes in not medieval necessarily, but old times. Okay, we're talking about back in the day where that lore was out and about and people believed that there actually was werewolves and vampires out there. There is a stream of thought that says that werewolves were the original.
Okay.
When a werewolf died, if the body was not disposed correctly, the werewolf would come back as a vampire. So they were one creature.
That could be cool.
So the
That's pretty
werewolf was the OG. Once a werewolf passed away, you had to dispose of the body quickly, efficiently, and with fire. If you didn't, the werewolf would return as a flesh-eating,
undead,
blood-sucking, undead creature, i.e. vampire. So if you follow that, they are not mortal enemies. They're the same, except one is alive and one is dead. And they would not hate each other because they would recognize each other as the same creature. At least in that version.
I mean, it's also possible in that version that they could still hate each other because they weren't disposed properly. Now they're back angry with, like, a thirst.
Fair.
Right? And now they have to compete with the other guys who are alive. But now they can't be in the sun anymore. The werewolves can.
So you resent what you used to be.
Yeah, almost. And, like, you're pissed. Like, yo, why don't you send me to proper burial, right? Because, like, back then, like, the whole religion thing, like, go with God. Like, they didn't let them go to God, basically.
Yeah, there's a lot of religion on this.
They basically damned them to stay here.
And roam the earth in perpetuity.
Yeah, as immortals. Who will stay only immortal if they drink blood.
And if you actually think on it further, if werewolves were guardians and protectors of humans, the fact that they were brought back to eat the thing that they were sworn to protect would make anyone resent the other creature. Because they were still able to protect the humans while the other ones were cursed to eat the humans that they were sworn to protect. So that would make sense as to why there would be a rivalry there.
So that's cool.
That storyline?
Yes.
Thanks.
That's dope.
But that is the origin. One being, there's no origin, they never met.
Yeah.
The other being, it's just in the fantasy brain, like in the brain of writers and authors that just said, these are two cool creatures, why do we put them together? And the third option is, they are the same creature, just one alive, one dead.
That one's the sickest idea.
That is the coolest. Yes,
Like
I
that
agree.
one.
But that is all for today, children.
Oh my god, and it would make sense why they're usually like hairless.
Yeah, true,
They're usually
actually.
like super like clean.
And smooth.
Yeah, and why they're so pale, because in their previous life they had fur all over, which covered their bodies from the sun.
True.
So they couldn't tan. Same reason why like your scalp is usually white.
True, true, true. That is nice. Good putting together, baby. Okay. that got a little bit out of hand, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But thank you for sticking with us.
Sick. I like that.
You like this?
I like that.
You like this episode?
Like I like that like thought process. Dope.
You don't like this episode?
No, I do.
Okay.
If you liked it, leave a like.
Yes. Thank you for sticking with us.
Comment and let us know if you know something different.
Yeah, share with us. There's so much like differing opinions out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But these were the main 3 that I found.
Yeah. Ring that bell. Stay up to date.
Check our TikToks.
And watch this video if you're interested to know what we
are. Yeah. Are we vampires?
Or werewolves.
Or werewolves? We'll be right there.
Check it out.
Check it out, and
Later.
we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Bye.